So from the clip, you can see that this billboard is extremely provocative, very hate-inducing, and to me, it's very disrespectful. But again, First Amendment rights and all that. It does seem like somebody could get sued over all this. I mean, isn't defamation of character, slander, isn't this like, material for a lawsuit? Because to infer, to insinuate, to suggest that somebody is a Nazi is very serious allegation. That's an allegation you're making. You're saying, yes, I've pegged Donald Trump as a Nazi. Okay. Do you understand the implications of what I'm saying here? That this should not be all right. That this person should be able to be sued. Okay, that free speech does have its limits. You can be sued. Okay, for defamation of character, defaming somebody, slandering somebody, besmirching their name and their character, their reputation. Okay, and to me, that's evidence, okay, of what I'm trying to convey here, okay? And it's wrong. And let's ask ourselves, some people said Quay Bono. We always know money, the devil is in the detail of these things. There's always money involved, okay? So again, this thing wouldn't have happened without money. This took a lot of money to buy all those guns and all that. But beyond that, let's look, I say, at who has been jilted recently. This is one of the things Columbo would look at, the motive. So who would have that kind of hatred toward Trump supporters? Well, we know that Hillary's camp, okay, the George Soros types, the Antifa types, the terrorist types, the ISIS types, all embrace that kind of hatred, that kind of irreconcilable hatred toward Trump and his supporters, okay, that kind of full-blown establishment beast system spirit, okay, hates Trump and Trump supporters. So that's what it takes to commit an act like that. So I'm not even saying I know this guy, this Paddock character did it, okay? I'm not even saying I believe that, not at all. So I'm just saying, hey, this took a lot of hatred, okay? This was beyond the money thing. That's why I say it's demonic, and at the end of the day, it's always spiritual. Good God, but I wrote a lot about this too, so I guess I should go into some of that immediately, go into the current events and start with this crap. The mass shooting. So Satan's happy again. We're all traumatized. How can we not all have PTSD? This is very depressing. Very depressing. And I'm upset making all kinds of clumsy goofs here. But listen, I'm beside myself with this thing, and I'm sorry. I'm very sorry to all the people that had to witness this thing, to the victims. I've never been shot. God knows I don't want to be, and it's messed up. Think of all the first responders, all the nurses and the doctors and all the crap they all had to see and do. All the blood, their hands are buried in blood for days. I mean, still more people might die. I mean, this is messed up, man. And all the people that are affected, all of us are affected through osmosis. We're inextricably interconnected as human beings, Americans, the whole thing. I mean, this is messed up satanic crap, man. So stop it, you mainstream media. You got the scarlet letter of mass murderer on your hands now. You got a lot of blood, innocent blood on your hands now. How does it feel? Stop it. Stop inciting violence against good American people. We support our president. That's not going to change, no matter how much violence and hatred you spew out. Satan and all your followers, witting or not, that's the problem. When people have deceived themselves, they're delusional, they're deluded. That's powerful, man. That's powerful. People kill and die for their beliefs. So we're up against a monster, a beast here, folks. Let's get together. Let's figure it out. The peacemakers shall be called sons of God. Work toward being a son of God, being accepted into eternal houses, into a paradise on earth That's what is held out. That's why we should be good, moral, upright, ethical human beings. And just give a damn. Giving a damn is loving. If you do that, if you live by the golden rule and treat people the way you want to be treated, there's certain ways you can practically ensure you're going to go to heaven. You're going to inherit a renewed earth, because earth is going to be made into a like heaven. Human beings are going to exist forever. We're just going to have immortal bodies. That's the promise. That's the way the story goes. That's the reward. Nothing bad is going to exist. God's going to separate the wicked from the righteous. You just want to make sure that you make it in safely into this camp of the righteous, that you're fully removed from the unrighteous, the evildoers, and everything they stand for. Your heart has to be right with God. We could BS everybody in the whole world, including ourselves. If you could BS yourself, it stands to reason you can BS everybody else, because if you believe your own rhetoric, your own belief system, your own philosophy, your own credo, then it's not hard to convince other people that you believe it. You believe what you believe. Okay? Let's be serious about this. Let's get real. It's powerful. Delusion is powerful. Deceit is powerful. But it's believing a lie. Okay? And that's what is the problem. And we've got to understand what we're up against here. The powerful forces. So, jeez. So people that believe in capital punishment. So typically these people, these monsters, you just wish they would stay alive. Just stay alive long enough so that they could be put in jail and some prisoner can tear them limb from limb, okay? Some fellow inmate, okay? Because we all know that that's what would happen. They'd have to keep this guy always confined. Could you imagine the hell this guy would be in? So they never want to take them. They never want to go out, you know. They want to be taken down. They don't want to come out of it. So the suicide thing makes sense. Now, whether or not there's other people involved, okay, that's the whole thing. People think these things through. Remember, they think like Columbo. What is he going to think about? Well, we got to cover our tracks. This is how, you know. So what a tangled web we weave as when we set out to deceive, and they confuse, they conflate, they deliberately convolute everything to throw off, you know, it's like throwing off the dog's scent. Well, let's make the scent lead over here and lead over here. But what a perfect distraction and diversion from everything else going on in the world. Hey, we're not talking about North Korea anymore. We're not talking about anything anymore. I mean, who even cares about the flood victims and the hurricane victims? Who cares about Russia? Who cares about Syria? Who cares about anything going on? The Federal Reserve, the EU, the debt, or any of the other problems, the social, political, and economic problems we have. Nothing matters anymore. So it's a perfect diversion, distraction, and deflection, okay? And that is, you know, so who, cui bono, who benefits? Let's look at all the sides of this thing. But I tell you what, it reeks to high heaven. And there's no way I believe that there wasn't a lot of other people, and even in hotel security there at the Mandalay Bay, that was in on this thing. And it pisses me off. But yeah, what good is capital punishment? You know, you want your vengeance. And so what do? I mean, you take a guy that's already suicidal. I mean, obviously, a guy doesn't care about his own life. He's going to do that to innocent people's lives. What does he care about his own life? So, you know, this whole idea that this is going to be a deterrent to people committing murder is just, it doesn't stand to reason. It's just not true. It's barbaric. And we want to be as far away from the Chinese thing because that's a very Chinese thing. They execute some 5,000 people a year in China. So death is death, okay? You got to not believe in death. And if I could say a few comforting words to everybody out there, is understand this, that God really did not give us the power to kill each other in terms of not existing anymore. It is written in the Bible that to God all are alive, and we are to believe the way God believes. So you can't really kill people. It's like the stories Jesus told about his friend Lazarus or the dead girl. Oh, she's not dead, she's asleep. But she was, in terms of definition, secular definition, she was dead. She stopped breathing. She turned pale. She was starting to get rigor mortis, right? We all know that. The same with Lazarus. He was in the grave 4 days. He was starting to stink. But Jesus said, no. You know what? You're going to see the power of God here. So God is real. So you don't ever stop existing. You cannot make somebody stop existing. Okay? It just shuffles the deck a little bit. but they're all safe in the hand of God. Anybody that ever lived and died, even the wicked people, are all safe in the hand of God until Judgment Day. And then God decides where you deserve to go from here. So it all makes sense. If you study Scripture, God's mind makes sense and logic. And he wants, it's not hidden. It's not a cult. He wants us to know us. Otherwise, how can we emulate him, imitate him? How can we follow him and reflect him and represent him properly unless it's all laid out in a logical format? It's clear as the light of day, clear as the nose on our faces. And it is. Okay, so, there is no death in that sense, that we don't exist. We always exist. That's why I say don't talk about people in the past tense. I do it too. But they're all with us, okay? Everybody that ever lived on earth and died is still alive. That's what's written. But they're in a different realm at this point, okay? They've walked through a door that we haven't walked through yet, but we're all slated to. So, we've all got to have this vast courage, and the only way I know how to have that courage, because I feel weak and cowardly sometimes. I mean, I don't fancy the idea of dying, no more than I fancy the idea of hurting somebody, killing somebody. I don't like it. So I turn to God. I say, God, you've got to help me cope. I don't have the courage. I don't have the strength to go on. And every time he does, he gives it to me, and he'll give it to you and everybody else that asks. We're his beloved children, unconditionally beloved. So just because you got sin in your life doesn't make you evil, okay? There's a big distinction there. Okay, for example, I mean, if you got a propensity, a weakness for looking at naked women, images of naked women, or maybe if you're a woman, maybe it's men, whatever. I mean, pornography, I guess. Okay, remember the first pornography appeared in the Bible. Okay, and I really would, I'm reticent at least to go into the passage. But, it alludes to the Assyrians, and not to be confused with the Syrians, okay? These were ancient peoples. But it talks about the genitals, and there were massive genitals on these guys, and their emissions were like that of a donkey. I mean, it's pretty depictive. It's pretty pornographic, really. I mean, it elicits those kind of thoughts. So, porn in and of itself, I mean, we were never meant to be wearing clothes in the first place. So it's all relative, what is porn and what's not. I mean, for a lot of women, they want to get it in a novel, the romance and all that kind of thing. But for other people, it's different. But it's like that. I mean, yeah, I mean, if you're weak and you fall and, you want to see what, you're curious, the empty calories and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I am not going to sit here and defend anybody else's sin. I've got enough trouble defending my own sin. The point here, okay, is that this is a vice. It is like a drug, okay, essentially. That's how people use it. And whether it's right or wrong, okay, I can tell you this much, is that if it was up to me, there would be no porn, because I am not going to be a pornographer. In other words, I'm not willing, as alluring as it may be, to be a nude photographer, videographer, maybe even, like Steve Quayle. He's a little ashamed that he used to make X-rated movies. Look, okay, whatever. It's not nearly as bad to be the one that's falling into sin as the one that the sin is coming through. But it's only as bad as we make it too, because we need to talk over our sin with God. And I don't believe God is a stagnant God. I believe God is a growing God that understands and wants to understand humanity better. So if we collectively say, well, you got to take it easy on us here, God, because this sin is ubiquitous. I mean, we all stumble and fall sexually at times. And we don't try to defend it. We don't condone it. Okay, we're not proud of it. We're quite the contrary. We're often ashamed of our sin. Okay, do you understand? That's a repentant, that's a contrite spirit. And that's how we need to be about sin. And yes, there's different degrees of sin. We all know that being a murderer is far worse sin than being a wanker, for example, okay? But yet the point is that God's opinion should override and supersede all of our opinion on any subject. So if you've got opinion about anything, about this mass murder, Always take time to go in your closet, like Jesus said, as a metaphor. You go in your closet. You could do it while you're driving down the highway, but it's between you and him. It's your own consensual come to Jesus moment, and you pray and you talk things over with the counselor. Okay, that's the Spirit of God. That's the Spirit of truth. That is the comforter. That is the encourager. And then you figure out what to do with this thing. Sort it out in your head so you can be there to help other people, to comfort other people, to encourage other people, to help other people to cope. Because we're all getting our share, man. We're all going to have depression and PTSD. There's no avoiding it. It's there. It's ours. Okay, we're under assault. Okay, by none less than the spirit of Satan. Okay, and all the minions, witting or not. Like I said, it's powerful. When people are deceived, they're deceived. They're on Satan's side, whether they know it or not.